Hello, and welcome to Elect Connect, a candidate forum brought to you by the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce. I'm Thomas Curry, Public Policy Specialist and Graduate Fellow with the Chamber, and I'm joined by Randy Paul, who is running for Monroe County Commissioner. First, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, because without them, our work would not be possible. Thank you to Comcast Business, Bungard Robertson, the City of Bloomington, German American Bank, Hoosier Energy, Indiana University, and Smithville Fiber. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Paul, who is running for District 2 in the Monroe County Commissioner's race and is a Green Party candidate. Mr. Paul, thank you for joining us today. And please begin by telling us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for office.
Okay, I was raised on a large dairy farm in northern part of Indiana, which my father and I ran it by ourselves. I think in preparing for this interview, thinking back when I was a kid, I think a lot of my political beliefs actually started there. And probably the most dramatic for me was, I remember vividly bankers coming out to my father and his neighbors, encouraging them to go into debt to buy bigger and better equipment. And at the time, I thought, God, an air-conditioned tractor would be great. But my father didn't do it, but many did. And then I saw those same bankers, 6 or 7 years later coming in to foreclose because interest rates went up. And that was kind of my first exposure to the business world. And I saw farmers desperate to keep their farms, so they started cutting trees and selling it to forest companies. And I saw the dramatic impact of that. So I watched them cut down the trees in the woods and the forests that I used to play in. And I think that really has something to do with how strongly I feel about climate change and what we're doing to our natural resources. Then I came to IU, studied political science, and then stayed here. And I've been an active advocate now since forever. Last August, I left the Democratic Party after 35 years of working very hard for them, because I felt that one party rule in any community, no matter which party it is just not good. It doesn't create good government. And I started and organized the Green Party, which is what I'm running under right now. And an example of why I think one party control happened very recently, that one party control just isn't positive for the community. And that's the debate we've been having when the commissioners asked for a 70% increase in their pay. And I thought that was just outrageous. 70% anytime is just incredible to me. During a pandemic, when people are hurting so badly, I really thought they would change their minds and wouldn't continue with it, but they did, and they argued for it. And right now it's in limbo, but they're looking at a 25% pay increase. I just don't think that is making with the trust with the community. They can ask for it, and I'll let people disagree, but I won't take it. If I'm elected commissioner, I will not take that pay increase. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be included in the group that years from now they'll say, hey, weren't you one of those guys that raised their pay so high? I don't know legally how I can do that, whether I can just decline it or whether I have to donate it, but I don't want to be any part of this. And that's why, I think I've been a volunteer my entire life here in Bloomington. And I think I've got a record. I was the only one, when I was on a trustee for Monroe County Library, I authored and passed a living wage for the library workers. And that's the only living wage that was in the county or the city at that time. And that was in 2007. I started unions up at Bloomington Transit. I helped form and organize a union as a library. And I did that as a volunteer. And I think I've got a track record to show that not only can I fight for a cause, but I can be successful in doing it. I also think that I'm going to be proposed to be a different kind of commissioner. I'm a different kind of candidate. I decided early on that I would not accept any campaign funds. I think the people likely to support me won't be able to afford to during this pandemic. So give it to somebody that needs the help, or keep it yourself. I'm not accepting any money. And I pledge to do one term. I think two things: corrupt politics, money's one, and power is the other. And I think if I can't get done what I want to do in one term, I'm not going to be successful. And last, I just want to make sure people know how to contact us. You can go on my Facebook page, Randy G. Paul. My email is greenpartyaBetterWay@yahoo.com. And my phone number is area code 812-219-6965. And I appreciate your help.
One important part about county government here in Monroe County is the relationship with Bloomington City government. how would you work to improve or, build connections between the governments? And in more general, how about the relationship with our local governments and the state governments?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I've been thinking about it a lot because I see a very recent example last week was when the mayor was proposing the income tax increase. And they were going to do that with or without support of the county government. You don't develop good working relationships if you throw at the county, we're going to increase your taxes, and you basically don't have any say for it. And what surprised me is that they were defending that. That stuff I just disagree with. I've never been that way in advocating. As an advocate, I would go back and forth between the city and county. I would see the friction. The convention center is another example. We're not going to get anything done if that continues. And we are in a pandemic right now. This is our opportunity to do a do-over. The pandemic gives us a chance to look at everything we've done in the past and look forward to the future and say, we can't keep using the same tools and we can't keep having the same arguments and survive this. And one of the things that has irritated me forever is that typically both the county and the city will say, we can't do this because of the state. And you hear that all the time. I've heard that for 35 years. And I keep thinking and saying, we've got to handle the state, which means we've got to be advocates. We've got to pool our resources. We have to work with other counties, and we need to change state government to where they won't continue to put clamps on us and limit what we can do. And again, this tax proposal was the same way. Every objection I ever raised on it was, well, yeah, you're right, but we can't do that. And I'm just tired of it. 35 years ago, if we would have dealt with this, we might have had some changes done. But people have to realize that this pandemic has put us in an entirely different world, and we can't keep doing what we've been doing. And that means we've got to change state and national government.
Well, Mr. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you helping educate voters for the November 3rd election. Before we leave, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Once again, thank you to Comcast Business, Bungard Robertson, City of Bloomington, the German American Bank, Hoosier Energy, Indiana University, and Smithville Fiber. Please, considering vote early and voting by mail in the November 3rd general election. For more information, please visit these websites, monroecountyvoters.us and chamberbloomington.org/2020-general-election. Thank you again, Mr. Paul.
Thank you.